limited amount of time. It's 34 minutes past. So.
Yeah, no problem. I was holding Kristen up, so she should be dialing in if she's not in already.
I'm here.
And okay, great. And yeah, you're right. Yeah, go for it.
Yep. All right, guys. Today the topic seems esoteric: advanced analytics with Tableau. This is a recent white paper that Tableau published. It is not for the technician. It's not for the statisticians. It details in English terms, in terms that business folks like us can understand, why it's important to have Tableau, what Tableau does with advanced analytics, and why I believe that Tableau will be the preeminent visualization tool for a long time coming, simply because they keep getting better and better and better. However, as we always do with these, we're going to start off with a little headline news, and in this case it's news you can use. So here we are. If you can see my screen again, I just loaded onto here business intelligence. So if you're not me, please mute. So guys, if you're in the audience, please mute your phone. Wow. Guys, whoever is getting interference, everybody please mute your phone.
Tom, try the mute all option on both meetings.
Yeah. I'm looking for it.
Someone at a train station?
That's what it sounds like. I'm going to try and mute all, and just while I'm speaking, and I'll re-enable it.
I think one of the GSAs is calling from Mars.
Or they could have their computer audio on and just picking up both from the computer and the phone.
All right, let me try something here. Hang on, guys. This might wreck it, but we'll see.
I'm sorry, that is not.
I was going to try and do the mute all, but I think.
Goodbye.
Guys, you there? Okay, hopefully I'm back.
Yep.
We hear you.
All right, hopefully only me. That'll work out well in the audio one. All right, news you can use. If you guys have the interest and the time, please check out this businessintelligence.com domain. There really is just a ton of information that's useful inside of here, and I've extracted a couple of them, a couple of the links in there, but there's a bunch of them in there. For example, there's an article on Hewlett-Packard has big plans for big data as it prepares to split the company. We know they're splitting into two $55 billion companies, and this kind of details it out. There's also news in here about the Sisense CEO improving cybersecurity by applying big data analytics. Where have we heard that before? So that's out there. And there's another one I got in another tab here. Mini glossary, business intelligence and analytics terms you should know. So I just kind of scroll down here. Here's all the things you can think of: behavioral analytics, what's a balanced scorecard, contextual data, all kinds of useful stuff and links in here that might help us. And I did trip across one that you might, if you see it as well. The top CFO priority, 78% of the CFOs said that analytics is their single top preferred expense this year, over financial planning, over everything. They want to enable analytics, so that should help pave the way. That's a good statistic we can use when we talk to folks about, what are your CFO's big plans? What are their big initiatives? And if they don't know, or if they say something, we can always have that stat in the back of our mind or in our pockets. 78% are saying that analytics is their top financial priority. Okay, so go out and check businessintelligence.com when you get a chance and see some of the articles in there. It's really, really useful. Okay, topic at hand, advanced analytics with Tableau. Again, this is not a practitioner's guide. This is a white paper recently from Tableau itself that says why you would want to use advanced analytics. They claim they're unique among platforms, and in some ways they are. So what Tableau started out as we know, is a visualization tool. You can hook it to whatever you want to hook it to and just kind of come up with neat visualizations or data joinings as long as you know the data. But most recently in version 9, what they've enabled and what they've turned on is the advanced analytics piece of this. Things like that you could only previously do in SAS, you can now do in Tableau, and the benefit is you can hook it to things like R or Python, and it has particular use in big data because in the old world you used to have to bring data to SAS. You would convert it to a rectangular SAS data set and you'd analyze it and get some results. You can't do that with big data. You have to do it in stream. And R is a very nice, useful programming language, but it really is not all that user-friendly on the display side. Well, now Tableau is essentially made themselves the front end for R. So you can write all these really neat statistical programs to hit up big data and use the power of Tableau visualization as a front end to display the results. Things like that are really incredibly powerful. It kind of reminds me of what Uber did with standard technology of cell phones and GPS and Google Maps. They tied it all together. Well, that's what Tableau is doing with advanced analytics. And we have a couple of examples of advanced analytics to look at. For those of you that have gone through the recent training in BI, we hit upon a couple of these. Segmentation, pretty standard as a view. Just categorizing your list into various segments, how you define it. Cohort analysis. Cohort simply means I've defined a characteristic that these particular groupings fall under. You can do what-if analysis, flexible front end. You can do pretty sophisticated calculations. So inside of Tableau itself is a fairly robust calculation language, but the beauty of it is you can hook it to R, which has standard statistical routines embedded that you don't have to write. Time series analysis, as we're talking to our financial folks, they all want to do time series, and forecast budget to actual is nothing more than a time series. Here's the real power, and our plugin provides the power and use of Tableau's front end, a nice drag and drop front end with onboard tie into complex statistical patterns. So again, here's the kind of things you can do: segmentation, what ifs, sophisticated, time series, some predictive analysis, and of course R integration. So if you look at what an example of these things are. So here's some sales by product subcategory, and don't know why they picked their end, but they did, versus sales overall in EMEA. How much does each country contribute to its market's total sales by product? So what they did is they had cohorts and by country, and they looked at the total sales of all these subcategories in here, and they smashed it up by country and then displayed the results in Tableau. A pretty nice thing to be able to do. It's an interactive dashboard. You can click on things and see how things change by function of sales. That's a nice example of a way to use Tableau. Here's another one, and this is segmentation. So you can take a bunch of small scatter plots here, combine them into one, and do an interesting chart that looks like a bubble chart like this that's interactive that says, let's look at infant mortality rate across the bottom scale and internet usage across the top. Is there a correlation? Yeah, sure there is. There's a beautiful asymptotic line in both directions. What does it show you? No surprise, the countries with the highest internet usage have the lowest infant mortality rate, and likewise high infant mortality rate with low usage. What does it mean? A couple of things. The higher internet usage means your higher access to information to help prevent this, a higher socioeconomic status. If you've got internet usage, you've got hospitals, you've got access to doctors, all kinds of things. So it's not a surprise of any of these results. But what's nice is that you can actually just take all these cohorts and design it into a nice looking view. And why that's important for us is because if you think about when we talk to companies that we do, and we've been involved in quite a few calls over the past few weeks, how many times have we heard the word Tableau? Tableau's coming in here, Tableau's there. It happened at McCormick. I'm sure it's at Exelon. It happened yesterday with Edwards Life Science. So Tableau is becoming ubiquitous, especially on the business side. And so these folks that are really, really good at it now have access to pretty deep statistics. So that's an example there.
It's as close as you can get to insider trading because we're not on the inside. But if they don't have Tableau, we've literally heard it at least aspirationally, right? I mean, it's everywhere.
Yep, it's everywhere, and the thing about it is it's so easy to use as long as you know your data that you can do anything. And now that you've got the ability to tie these statistical processes in that are already pre-written, you just need a way to display them. What's going to become front and center is, okay, the tools there are great, and yeah, we'll have some facility with our folks that know the tools, but what does that really mean? What it means is that there's going to be an increasing dependence on people that understand the data, the data analysis folks, the data integration folks. People, as they load Tableau and start doing their analysis, the smart ones are going to start doing that and say, wow, this is so counterintuitive. Is this really true? In some cases it is, but then they're going to dig in and say, wow, we didn't really understand our data at all. We obviously joined it incorrectly, so we don't trust or understand our data. We better get somebody in here that does. And so the net of all this is that, yes, Tableau is a tool that's coming in, but the most important thing is it's going to drive such an immense need for data scientists and data analysis folks just to service the ability of Tableau to do these things. That's what it really means. What if scenarios? That's huge. If you're in a merger and acquisition, what if we acquire this company? What if we do this? You can imagine anybody that's going through an M&A, they're burning the midnight oil in the finance department to say, what does it do to our bottom line? Should we buy this? And what if we come out with a new product? What does that do? And with Tableau, you can do it a lot easier and a lot faster. Look at this, sales commission model, estimated results with assumptions, salesperson, new quote, commission rate you can load in, total sales, estimated total compensation, and these are slider bars up here. So you can actually see what happens when you move the commission rate back and forth, you move the base salary back and forth. So it's a really nice interactive view of things. The other thing we hear when we're talking in Tableau is the word story comes out when combined with stories, and that's Tableau's way of building a narrative with data. Why is this important? How many times have we heard when we've talked to folks that the reason they're doing this is they're trying to support a business case, or they're trying to support something they're trying to get done inside the business, and the way they do that is they've got to have a story and they've got to have the data to back it up. And so this is what Tableau does. So Tableau helps you design and build nicely packaged stories that support your case. So it's a way that I haven't seen in other tools that say, yeah, there's a nice way to put the data together, but what's important is how you display it. So it's not only what you say, it's how you say it. Sophisticated calcs, flexible aggregations. Yeah, you can do best fit lines, sum of total sales, these sorts of things you can do. Gratuity timing analysis. Here's something I thought was pretty interesting as a graph. It's a time series analysis. If you look at this chart, these are average tip by day, average tip by hour, total amount. What does this line, and I don't know that it means anything, but what does this line look like to you? If you just looked at that line, what does that look like? Those of you with a medical background. Looks like a scan of a heart rate, doesn't it? Doesn't it look like a pulse? Boom, 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 boom.
Or a Richter scale if you're from California.
Well, yeah, you got a few tremblers happening on the Hayward Fault. But here's what if you're really if you're a person in the food service industry and you're on the service piece of it and you're smart enough to look at this, you'd say, wow, average total total amount and by pickup daytime. You don't want to, in other words, you don't want to work on Saturdays because the tips are low. You want to work on Wednesday, Thursday, because that's the highest probability of you getting a larger tip. Pretty interesting. I mean, you know, not that they're going to go do that, but that's an interesting way to think about it. So you can do all these sorts of calculations.
Saturday's surprising.
Yeah. Saturday's surprising for, you know, the average tip amount, but what that says is there's probably a volume at work and a speed at work. So while the average is low, maybe the volume makes up for it. I don't know. That's a good question to look at. Again,
I'll go become a food server for a while. I'll let you guys know.
Yeah, exactly. Empirical research is always good. Average number of trips by day, if you're getting time series. And just to kind of round it out a little bit, here's something interesting. If you talk about you talked about insider trading, well, here's the average stock close price for a particular stock measured over, in this case, 10 years. Notice that how if you drew a straight line through both of these lines there, you'd get almost a flat line. You could probably draw it just about like that. One would argue, if this is endemic among the stocks, better pick ones that offer good dividends, because if you're just depending on the stock price to go up to actually make money, you're not, in other words, you're not going to time the market. You can't do it. So pick stocks with good dividends. And of course, predictive analysis is huge, right? If I were a betting person on these trend highlights between height and weight by sport, these best fit lines aren't that good of a fit. But it's interesting how they all trend together depending on the sport, whether sport's basketball, shooting, or weightlifting. There is a correlation between weight and height and the ability to do that well. There's all kinds of things you can draw. The benefit of this is, and the net of this is, Tableau is becoming such a huge tool in the marketplace. We are well advised to understand how well it works, what it can be used for, where we see it, because our clients are talking about Tableau. How it works. Here's the big one. Our integration. So let's spend a little time here. So as companies are going forward, yes, SaaS is huge. It's huge inside of the medical realm, but there will be a time that R overtakes, and maybe it's happened already, I haven't looked recently, where R overtakes SaaS as the statistical tool of choice. What it lacked was a suitable front end to deliver the results. So inside of Tableau. Look at the white paper. This is they used at the front. I mean, it's kind of an interesting thing, but that's the graphic they've chosen. So what is this? These are cars, and these are correlation with other cars. Like is a Cadillac Fleetwood, for example, right here, to a Lotus Europa, right? Not at all. The correlation is horrible. It's down. It's still 0.8, but it's down here. And obviously, the AMC Javelin, everyone's favorite car, is highly correlated to itself as by definition. So this line, as in this correlation chart, as all correlation charts show, this diagonal line has to be a perfect correlation because you're comparing itself to itself. The net of this is a really, really good example of a quick correlation that has a boatload of heavyweight statistics behind it in terms of whether or not this process is statistically significant and correlatable. You could substitute whatever you want for these axes. It's cars here, but it could be anything, drug interaction. It could be likelihood to buy, anything like that. And instead of just pumping up a bunch of numbers that have a significantly high correlation number that you would look at, it plots it in a nice graphic chart like this, so that you could say things like, wow, Maserati Bora, which is a smoking sports car, doesn't have a good correlation to too many things because there's a lot of reds and oranges here. Those are the kind of things you can see. So if you're kind of come out with a product that's going to fare well in the marketplace, you want distinctiveness. So you would want things that don't correlate well with other cars, because then you're in a class by yourself. So drug companies could use this. What's the best drug to come up with that isn't well served by other drugs that do the same thing? So at any rate, you know, kind of as we draw to an end here, the net of why this is important cannot be overstated. We really need to understand that Tableau is here to stay. Our companies and our clients will use it. They want to know who has experience in it and how to employ it, and it's going to be there going forward. So the more we know about it, the better off we're going to be. And that's all this white paper was from Tableau. It's just saying, hey, we now do advanced statistics, and we're the only one that does it with a graphical user interface where you don't have to know how to program. Again, you can do simple things like voting patterns too. Go ahead, O.
Oh, no, sorry, I didn't have it on mute. I'm talking to somebody who just showed up. But I suppose that explains why I have a Gremlin and a Pinto in my garage.
Oh, I think they're highly correlatable. As an AMC Pacer would be as well. But, you know, the net is this is the most ubiquitous, this will eventually beat Excel as the most ubiquitous BI tool in use because it's so easy, because you can tie it to everything. And the nice thing about it is that it will be the common front end. You could actually use Tableau to front MicroStrategy if you wanted to do the analysis that you like in MicroStrategy, but I'll display it here. So this ties everything together as a tool. One of the things that CFOs like is a big picture view. So think about using, they have to think about using Tableau as a integration tool for all their data. I don't care whether you got business objects, whether you got MicroStrategy, you know, SSRS, whatever. Stick Tableau on the front end and just take the results of all of that and have the same look and feel, and use Tableau as a wrapper to give you a same look and feel. So important stuff. Don't have to read this too much for its content, but just understand that the more we talk to our clients, the more we're going to talk about Tableau.
Hey, Tom, this is Ross. So Google, who believes that they can build every tool better than anybody else, and you know, they dumped all their BI tools, built their own one. However, just is in the process of implementing Tableau. So we're going to go live in a couple of months here for the drill down and what if analysis for all their business users.
Yeah.
On the financial.
I believe that because, you know, they have a good history of employing top-notch stuff, and Tableau is a company to itself. It's a semi-large company, but it wouldn't surprise me if somebody like Google or Oracle or somebody is heavily trying to figure out how to leverage and buy Tableau and just incorporate it, or SAP or anything like that. It is so ubiquitous, so powerful. I have to believe they're under intense pressure from the big players in the market, IBM, whoever, to actually buy Tableau and just own it. I would have to believe that because it's that good. Okay, guys, we have 2 minutes left. Any further questions on this? Again, don't forget businessintelligence.com. Just a wealth of information out there. One thing we might want to do at some point is maybe we look at getting a license of Tableau for ourselves. It's not that expensive, or at least trial it out. We could do some nice calculations on our own data in here and showcase some Tableau stuff. So that's something to think about.
Actually, yeah, Franklin's already done that. I mean, you can download it for free. Anybody who wants to play with it, if you're good at Excel, you can download it and play around with it. We've done some preliminary experiments.
Yeah, I think you get a free 2-week license when you download it. It's easy to use. Okay, guys, we are at the top of the hour. I'm going to kill the recording now. This will be up on YouTube. Once again, thanks for your attention, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.